Number 10, Slenderman. In 2018, 15-year-old Morgan Geyser was sentenced to 40 years in mental health treatment and monitoring after she plotted to kill her 6th grade classmate. All because she was scared that the Slenderman would come after her and kill her and her family if she didn't do as she was told. She stabbed the young girl 19 times, though her victim miraculously survived after being discovered by a passing cyclist. Depending upon who you ask, the Slenderman is a very real creature that stalks the shadows. He's a tall mythical being who wears a black suit and has no face. He can also stretch his arms like retractable tentacles. However, the truth behind Slenderman is that he was born in June of 2009 during a competition, in which a web forum asked for ideas to create a modern myth to terrify everyone. An unknown person responded to the forum with 2 Photoshop pictures, each one from the 1980s showing a tall and sinister figure lurking behind groups of kids. Some vague text was attached to the photographs, suggesting that 14 of the young people had gone missing after the picture was taken. This is where the Slender Man comes from, according to the in-depth report from the BBC. It was all just really supposed to be a scary meme, and yet the Slender Man has taken on a life of his own. It's not that the Slender Man has been witnessed so much as kids have obsessed over the mysterious figure. Number 9, Sneaky Goblin. Youngsters near the city of Santiago del Estero in Argentina witnessed what can only be described as a creepy goblin. The kids were kicking around a football when a small, unidentifiable creature suddenly appeared behind them. Luckily for us, there was an eyewitness filming the children as they played their game, and they were able to capture the mysterious creature on camera. From what we can see in the footage, the bizarre hunched-over monster strolls forward rather quickly, causing the children to scream in terror and run away, and then the goblin itself simply scampered off and was not seen again. Maybe the children's screams scared it. One of the mothers in the neighborhood described the goblin as a paranormal phenomenon, while other parents refused to let their children go back to the field in the fear that the goblin would steal them away. We don't know if this is really a goblin in the traditional sense, meaning a mischievous and cruel creature that likes to steal valuables, but we do know it was some kind of animal, small and green, with pointy ears. Number 8, the Flatwoods Monster of West Virginia. In 1952, 3 young residents of a small town in West Virginia spotted a bright light blinking across the sky. When the boys ran to see what it could be, they found a pulsing red light that had crashed to a hillside. They claimed to see a 10-foot or just about 3-meter tall creature with a head shaped like a spade and wearing what seemed to be a dark metal, quote, dress. They also described something with twisted claws on its hands and eyes that glowed like a creepy orange color. The creature supposedly levitated off the ground and had a sickening mist in the air around it. When it hissed and glided toward them, they ran away. After the encounter, some of the boys from the group apparently suffered from throat irritation, vomiting, and nausea for a few days. Locals chalked it up to the side effects of hysteria, but some have pointed out that these symptoms are also signs of being exposed to mustard gas. Strangely enough, a local woman in a nearby town reported seeing a similar creature a few years before that. After taking a shortcut through the forest, a woman spotted a ball of fire nearby. When she turned around, she saw a tall, dark silhouette of a man-shaped figure. Another incident occurred after this with the couple who were out with their baby. After their car broke down on a deserted road, a foul sulfur smell filled the air around them. When a bright light shone down upon them from above in the darkness, they also saw a 10-foot or about 3-meter tall creature with the head of a reptile hovering in front of their car. Although the monster hasn't been seen since the original incidents in 1952, the local community continues to talk about the Flatwoods. It is believed that if you stand outside at night, you can feel the presence of the monster somewhere in the forest, watching. The rock apes of Vietnam. During the Vietnam War, American troops reported sightings of strange creatures in the jungles. Many detailed accounts came out about the beings, and they became so common that one particular hill earned the nickname Monkey Mountain. No bodies were recovered, and there weren't any clear photographs taken of these supposed creatures, so it's not easy to prove they even existed. But with reports coming in so often and from such widespread regions, it is strange. The creatures got their name, rock apes, from their habit of throwing rocks. It's even said that they would toss grenades back at those who tried to harm them with their projectiles. Said to be up to 6 feet or just under 2 meters tall, with long limbs and covered in dark brown or reddish brown hair, they were believed to live in remote areas of the jungle far away from humans, probably because people threw grenades at them, am I right? It is possible soldiers were just mistaking them for orangutans. Possibly, but orangutans were extinct in this area thousands of years ago. Maybe they were seeing white-cheeked gibbons. They are native to Vietnam, but are nowhere near the height that the rock apes have been described. Whatever the explanation, a local general heard about these apes so much that he decided to organize an expedition in 1974 to hunt and kill one of these creatures. But no evidence of them was ever found. With no real evidence to prove that the rock apes exist, maybe these stories are just hallucinations made up from the troubled minds of soldiers trying to deal with the horrors of war. Number 6. The Beast of Boggy Creek. Whether you call it Bigfoot or Sasquatch, the Boggy Creek monster is a hairy creature that lives in the creeks of Arkansas near the town of Fouke. Seen by countless people over the years, there was even a movie called The Legend of Boggy Creek made about the creature. Sightings started in the 1900s, with one as recent as 2018. The reports of a large upright figure running across roads to large human-like animals lurking in the tree line go back for decades. Described as being 7 feet or just over 2 meters tall, weighing in at about 300 to 500 pounds, or just around 130 to 220 kilograms, the creature is said to have dark brown and black hair covering its body and an ape-like face. It was supposedly first spotted near the town in 1908, but there are no real or known photos of it in existence. Sometimes at dusk, sometimes in the middle of the night, and sometimes even early in the morning, the bipedal ape-like animal has been seen by residents and those just passing through. Most of the time it seems to be running from humans and doesn't seem like a kind of threat. Real or not, there's no doubt the Beast of Boggy Creek is definitely not the kind of thing you want to run into on a dark and lonely night in the middle of a country road in Arkansas. Number 5. The Canadian Crawler. Sure, Canadians are known for being friendly and polite, but that doesn't mean there's no dark secrets north of the border. What started as creepypasta creation online has turned into a real-life sighting of a strange creature originally thought to be made up. For the uninitiated, a creepypasta is a scary photo or story that starts online and then becomes so popular, people begin to believe they've seen evidence of the phenomena in real life. This is the origin of the rake. Started in 2005 by an anonymous poster on an online forum, the rake is a made-up creature said to be about 6 feet or 1.8 meters tall and a humanoid that crouches and walks on all fours. It is extremely pale, has no nose or mouth, 3 solid green eyes, and a hinged skull that reveals many tiny, dull teeth inside. In 2012, reports started to surface of people running into these gruesome creatures, with some suggesting they were Native American skinwalkers or Navajo medicine men who were transformed into animals. Other people believe that they had run into a Wendigo, a cannibalistic creature from Cree and Algonquin legend. So, was it the power of suggestion, or did people really see these rake men? In early 2009, a miner named Don Herbert, living in a remote area of the Northwest Territories, says he saw a figure crouching on all fours while driving along a stretch of highway. With grayish-white skin, dark eyes, and a beak-like mouth, Don says the creature had long, spindly legs and was completely hairless, and as he drove by, it bolted toward his truck. Unable to shake the encounter, Don went out to see if he could track down the creature. After returning to the spot he'd supposedly seen the being, he found a mark in the dirt where the incident happened, but no trace of anything else. Number 4. Winged Monsters of Japan. You may be familiar with the Mothman of West Virginia, but did you know similar creatures have been spotted across the world in Japan? In 1952, a private in the Air Force started his watch duty near Kyoto, Japan, when he heard a strange flapping sound and turned to find what looked like a very large bird flying toward him. As it got closer, the private realized it wasn't a bird, since its wingspan and height stretched almost 7 feet or just about 2.1 meters, and it hovered in the air above him. When he started firing his weapon at it, it vanished into the dark. Chalking it up to a hallucination, the guard later found out one of his fellow guards had seen a similar creature just a year earlier. Even some local residents had seen what they had believed were giant birds, as well as strange lights. In 2011, just before a deadly earthquake hit Fukushima, a local witness claims to have seen a large winged creature in the area. Similar to stories of Mothman of West Virginia, some people believe these giant cryptids are an omen that come before catastrophic events. Could this monster have been there as a warning to locals that a devastating earthquake would soon take place? There is history of winged monsters in Japanese history and folklore called the Tengu. Seen as mountain gods, they are said to have had various supernatural powers. So, was this some fable, or is there truth behind the legends? Number 3, the Mermaid of Japan. In 1943, a group of Japanese soldiers located near the Kai Islands in the southern Indonesian province saw something strange. They reported unusual creatures in the water that had limbs and a human-like face. Even stranger, they had mouths like a carp. Described at about 150 centimeters tall, or just around 5 feet, the creatures had pink skin and prominent spines on their heads. Although you might think this sounds like a mermaid, these beings didn't have fish tails, but instead 2 arms and 2 legs. One soldier recalled seeing one of them on the beach that night. At first he thought it was a child, but when he turned around he saw that its face didn't look right in the moonlight. When the creature noticed him, it quickly ran into the water. When asked about these monsters, the native people on the islands told them that they were known locally as orang ikan. Interestingly, the word orang means human and ikan means fish, giving some weight to the belief that these were some sort of half-human, half-fish hybrids. Sometime later, the locals summoned a member of the surveillance team to tell them that one of the creatures had been found dead on a beach earlier that day. The sergeant went to inspect the discovery and found a dead creature that had a head with red-brown shoulder-length hair and spines along its neck. It was said to have had both human-like and ape-like features and the lips of a fish. With fingers and toes that were long and webbed, he also noted that there was some sort of algae covering its body. When the investigator returned to Japan and told zoologists about the phenomenon, no one took his report seriously. Even his photographs didn't convince him that he had seen the creature. Whether these, quote, mermaids are real or something made up by the locals, questions still remain about what the soldiers saw and if they were human or something else. Number 2, the Sutton Lake Bigfoot. What is it about West Virginia and all these creature sightings coming from it? There must be something in the air, or maybe the water. Sightings of a Bigfoot in early 2019 continue to draw tourists to the region. Maybe it's because of the dark skies and deep forests of West Virginia that creatures such as these continue to be spotted. Maybe it's the large, uninhabited areas with little to no human development too. Either way, the head of the local visitors bureau in Sutton Lake continues to hear rumors of a Bigfoot stalking the area, with one Bigfoot hunter creating and posting his own video of a recent lakeside hunt online. Another story details a Bigfoot spotted near a local dam and the creature even throwing logs at curious onlookers. Years ago, a local resident believed that a wild man was stealing and killing chickens and pigs. He said he heard a strange sound at night and later reported seeing a, quote, wild-looking fellow, in rags, with long hair, and a beard running from an old house with a huge knotted club. So, was it a creature or simply some backwoods man desperate for food who prompted these stories? Whatever the case, the residents of Sutton Lake in West Virginia continued to tell the tales of unknown creatures they believe lurk in their forests. Number 1, monster of Lake Erie. It's not uncommon for big bodies of water to have mysterious sightings attached to them. The same can be said for Lake Erie. Stories of a long sea serpent swimming through the water have been reported by locals fishing in the area. Said to be black, 35 feet or about 10.6 meters long with a snake-like head, there have been multiple reports over the years. Stories have been coming out of the area since the late 18th century. The creature had even been nicknamed Bessie, the American cousin of Scotland's famous Loch Ness monster, Nessie. One story from the 1930s came from 2 Lake Erie fishermen that saw a sea serpent in the waves near their boat. Out of fear, they managed to club the beast, bring it to shore, and put it into a shipping crate. When the curator from a local museum of natural history came by to investigate, he determined the creature they clubbed to death was actually just an Indian python. Despite the story being debunked, Lake Erie locals continue to see Bessie's long, scaly body in the water to this day. A 1-800 number was even set up in the 1990s to keep track of all the sightings. In 2012, an investigative journalist used his reporting skills to identify the creature and what he believes is actually just a larger-than-average sturgeon. Although it's not exactly what some people would like to hear, especially locals who rely on tourist dollars to boost the local economy, lake sturgeons can grow to over 7 feet or just about 2.1 meters long and weigh over 200 pounds or around 90 kilograms. But even with an explanation coming from the journalist, people still choose to believe in the aquatic monster lurking in the depths of Lake Erie. Thanks for watching. What do you think of these monster sightings? Did they really exist, or are they simply the product of overactive imaginations? Share your thoughts or possible experiences in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more content. See you next time on The Bad Badger.